probably not.
That's going to throw it off, I think.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Max and Chuck back here to talk about time.
Time. Where's my watch, actually? Here we go.
We're here to talk about time today and all the applications that time could have to athletic performance and achieving your goals on a daily basis. So we've kind of come up with this acronym that gives our definition of time. I know there's plenty of esoteric definitions of time. Many people will say time doesn't even exist, which is kind of my camp. But I think when you apply those thought processes to your training, you're going to see some real dividends. So first letter of the acronym is Apple, APPL. The first letter there is standing for adaptation.
So with the adaptation, from an exercise standpoint, it takes some days, weeks, months, maybe even years to adapt to the stimulus you're putting onto your body. And any environment that you put yourself through as well. Give it some time to allow the adaptation to set in.
And on top of that, any program that you do is going to be based on that adaptation principle. So stick with it. Give yourself the time for it to really have the intended effect. And that's some of the stuff that we work on here at BODbox as well. Mm-hmm. Is just figuring out what program is going to be designed for you so that you can adapt to it mm-hmm. in a timely manner, while still giving yourself that window, that range of time that's required to have a massive positive adaptation to the program.
Right. And the second variable with the P, right? Is that how you spell it? Apple. APP? Okay, is psychology. It has a lot to do with the mind aspect in your fitness goals and how it relates back to time.
So psychology, again, applying that, if you think of time as irrelevant or time as an illusion, which it truly is, it's a very convincing one. But when you start to frame your mind in that way, your achievement can become much greater because you're not burdened by time constraint or worrying about the next test that you have to take or the next workout that you have to go to. You're just there in the moment. And I think there's something to be said for approaching things with that mindset.
100%. And then if you relate that to the past, present, and future, that has a lot to do with the psychology as well. Most of us try to live into the present. We think about the future and our goals ahead. And then most of us, if we think in the past, can have doubts on our mind and so on and so forth. So it's important that with the time that we have, we live in the present, obviously plan for the future and learn from the past.
The third letter of the acronym is performance. What this stands for is the ability to leverage time to extract greater performance from yourself and from others. So during a workout, that could be a timed workout. Mm-hmm. That could be something that you see a lot in CrossFit, where there's a specific amount of time that you have to be doing work.
Yep. It can relate to energy systems too. Is it a short burst exercise, 10, 20 seconds on a bike, or a maximal effort lift? The time it takes has a much different adaptation to the body too, which can link back to the previous A. And then moving forward into more exercise related terms, if you farther that stimulus to, say, a lap around the track for a minute or two, you enter a different system, the glycolytic system, where you're using different energy sources for the energy that's required. And then lastly, the oxidative system that allows you to work for long periods of time, right? And your body burns fat as a fueling source. Think about a long hike or a mile run, things in that nature. So using all these different terms, the energy pathways that allow you to work for energy, all this links back to time and fitness.
That's really interesting. So basically, based on how you're applying your energy through a set amount of time determines also what the adaptation might look like.
100%.
So all these things are kind of linked together.
Oh yeah. So think about a marathon runner and then a sprinter. The different fiber types, type 1, type 2. Type 1 being the long-lasting, slow-burning fibers that allow you to work for long periods of time. And then your type 2 fibers can think about a sprinter or something that's underneath the 2-minute frame. So yeah, the time that you work and the energy you put forth does dictate your adaptations on your body.
Okay. Now speaking about time, the last kind of consideration here is the L, which stands for being late. And I know that sounds like a hilarious
This is where we'll argue a
application of
little
time.
bit. I'm still trying to understand it, but
So while we were at Harvard, all classes were designated to start at 7 minutes after the hour. Now that was said to give the students more time to get to the classroom and for the professor to get set up, but really it doesn't make any sense because you could just show up earlier. So from my mindset, that was actually creating individuals, through an adaptation that would ultimately show up to things 7 minutes late, because you just get in the program of showing up 7 minutes late constantly. Now, flash forward to my time at Berkeley, and one of the psychological tricks that we were taught is to walk slower up to the blocks before competition, providing that same level of psychological dominance, that you're good enough to be there, that you can take your time, that time is somewhat of an illusion, and that you're important enough to walk slowly up to the blocks. Number one, that throws other people off. Number two, it gives you that confidence to be there and be in the moment. So I think there's an application here of time, not that you always need to be late, but to take your time with the things that you do, and to not rush, because you're important enough to be there on your own time.
yeah, and we could even talk about impulse versus logic too. So if you're not taking the time to make a decision, it can be based strictly off emotion too. So it is important to take your time. And that's one thing that I've learned a lot from you, Chuck, is the fact that you do move in a slower manner, and I'm the complete opposite, where I have a faster speed. So if we're walking next to each other, I try to slow my roll, or he speeds us up. I don't know, probably both at the same time. But relating back to that, yeah, performance-wise, taking your time to get to the block or an event does throw them off just slightly.
Or I'm thinking even before you go up to lift, you're brushing the chalk off your hands, you're taking your time to get set.
Yeah, you give yourself more time to visualize yourself winning too, and achieving that lift or winning that sprint in the water. So mind-body connection for sure. And then going back to the time once again, and if you're on time, you're late. So I feel that there's many events that you should be slightly more on time in respect to showing up 15 minutes prior and being extra prepared for whatever that is. But I'm still learning.
I think there's a balance here between preparation. It's not that you show up, unprepared and show up late just because you want to show up late.
Yeah.
I think it's more just it stems back to a confidence thing, that you are well prepared. You're there. If you need to be there 15 minutes early, you're there 15 minutes early.
Right. Yeah.
And then there's some considerations there that are just societal constructs that force you. It makes sense to be there early. This is more just a small application and kind of the last acronym here. But hopefully you can take some of these pieces of information and apply them to your daily training, and whether you're competing for the Olympics or just getting to the gym, hopefully it's something that really helps you out.
So I know Apple, we stopped with L, but I think E is something that
E
can be extra. We hear all about it. So the E for Apple, I think just extra being, what do you do with the extra time that you have? Are you putting in the hours needed at the gym? If it comes to your career, are you more productive? Are you putting extra time into that so you can make more money? So I believe that E on the Apple should stand for extra.
And that's our acronym for you guys.
Yeah.
That's good.